MSNBC political analyst, and Emily Tisch Sussman, former vice president of campaigns for the Center for American Progress, also host of the podcast, Your Primary Playlist. And Rick, I'm going to start with you here because one Republican insider quoted in this Axios piece says, "We are all worried." How worried should the GOP be, Rick?
They should be extremely worried. I mean, if this is a referendum on Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, remember, the head of the ticket usually drives turnout, and unfortunately, it appears that Trump is driving turnout of the Democrats and not the Republicans. And if he just simply turns out his base, the Republicans would be wiped out. But there's a big but, Craig, and that is, who the Democrats nominate, and that'll be their head of the ticket. So that's to be decided. But if you look at a normal election year with a good economy, with low unemployment, and let's say we had a popular president, the Republicans would be expected to pick up seats across the board. That doesn't look like it's going to happen because Donald Trump is underwater. He's losing to the Democrats, and the impeachment story just gets worse and worse for him.
Emily, how do you prepare for the unknowns? I mean, again, the impeachment inquiry that we were just talking about, that's about to go public. The economy, as Rick just mentioned. How do you prepare for those?
Well, from a congressional and Senate perspective, the strategy actually hasn't really changed for Democrats since 2018, which was a boom year for Democrats. Democrats ran and won untraditional candidates in seats that were considered both swing and solidly Republican districts. And that came because of both boosting Democratic turnout that had kind of fallen off in 2016, but also flipping a lot of swing voters from the 2016 Trump presidential to the 2018 midterm elections. And a lot of that happened. A lot of those votes came out because people did not like what Republicans were offering, and they wanted a check on Trump. So now Democrats are actually offering that check on Trump while still moving ahead, moving legislation forward like drug pricing. So people are seeing the results of what they voted for.
Rick, here's the thing. The Trump campaign, as we reported last week, and the Republican National Committee, they took in a haul in the third quarter fundraising, a combined $125 million, more than any president at this point in his presidency in history. How could it be that the president and the party are able to raise that kind of money, but Republican incumbents in places like Iowa and Maine and Arizona, they're all being outraised?
Craig, the Democrats picked up a different fundraising model, and it's driven by Act Blue. And what's happening is the Democratic donors, a lot of small-base donors, end up voting directly to their candidates. So while the Republicans and the president have accumulated a massive amount of money, and remember, that money will be spent on President Trump. You don't think that money is going to go to anybody else, do you? And the Democrats, the money is all diffused. But if you add up the money that the Republicans have raised in total and add up the money the Democrats have raised in total, including, the presidential candidates and down the ticket, they're roughly equal. And so the money, the money is actually more efficiently spent in the Democratic Party than it will be in the Republican Party because it's controlled by the president, by the RNC. The RNC and the presidential campaign are one and the same. There's no distinction between them. And so if he gets in trouble, you can bet that money is going to go to save him and not anybody else.
Emily, in addition to trying to hold the House, Democrats also looking to take back the upper chamber as well. You can see the balance of power right there, 53-45, with the Republicans having the edge. Now, take a look at all of the Republican states that, according to NBC News and First Read, are races to watch, opportunities for Democrats. As a Democratic strategist, which seats are you targeting there? Which seats are you looking to defend?
So top of the list right there, Maine. Susan Collins really has not had to defend this seat, and she is now underwater in popularity, as is Trump. Kavanaugh and health care really hurt her. Iowa's on top of that list. Colorado, there's local papers who are editorializing against Cory Gardner for not calling on impeachment inquiry to move forward. Same with Arizona. They have an unelected senator sitting in an unelected Republican senator sitting in that seat who actually lost in the election last time, and her incumbent is out raising it. I'll say North Carolina is on top of that list, and Georgia is definitely a possibility. Look, there's an open Senate seat in Kansas where they just ran and won a Democratic governor, so that's no longer are out of striking distance for Democrats. Look, this is a problem on math for Republicans, but I also think this is a moral problem for Republicans. This is why we see so many of them retiring, is that they did not necessarily support Trump in the primary. Republicans have now become the party of Trump. They do not want to have to defend it. Yes, they're trying to navigate the politics through impeachment, but they might just not want to do it. I think one of the biggest flags for Republicans was in the House. The member of Congress who was actually tapped to start recruiting Republican members of Congress said she's not running again this re-election. She doesn't want to be a part of it. So there's very big moral problems for Republicans, which